What's up guys, SmartASCII here with the first video in my Learn With Me series where I kind of go through some of the hurdles that I've faced so far getting started streaming so that hopefully you don't have any trouble with them. Today we're going to be talking about making your own animated screens using HTML, CSS, and OBS Studio to add a bit of polish and production value to your stream without having to know your way around any sort of video editing software or anything like that. The only things you're going to need are some resource links that I will provide to get you started with some free to use images and something to edit your HTML files with, such as Windows Notepad, even though I like to use Notepad++. So first I'm going to show you guys one that I've already built just so you can see what all goes into it, and then we'll go through together and build a completely new one from scratch. So as you can see here, I have my OBS Studio open on a short little intro screen that I made for a fictional streamer called Sawblade Gaming. We have the title there, we have the spinning saw blades, and we have a little text at the bottom that says stream is starting soon. It's kind of fading in and out. In our sources, you can see we've only used a browser source and an image for the background. If you want to see what this looks like in the HTML file, we have the style tags up here. That's our CSS, which defines the look, feel, and also the animations, which are called keyframes in CSS. And then down here's all the actual content that we'll be targeting with those classes. And don't worry if you don't know anything about CSS or HTML. I'm going to be showing you how to go through this even if you've had no exposure whatsoever. Alright, so now that we're ready to get started creating our new scene, let me walk you through some of the free resources that we'll be using. It's important to use 100% royalty-free resources when you're doing this sort of thing, just to cover your bases in case any legal issues come up. Okay, so the first one here is called nobacks.com. These are just isolated images with a transparent background so that you can superimpose them onto anything that you want in layers very easily. The second one here is waitanimate.wstone.io. This is the site that we'll be using to generate our CSS keyframes, even though you might not know what you're doing when it comes to CSS at all. Third one here that's really helpful is dafont.com. You can get a bunch of free fonts to just really pull together your screen using that theme that you've picked out for yourself. And the last one here is just freestocktextures.com, which I'm going to be using as just the backgrounds for our scene. Alright, so we're going to be creating an intro screen for a fake streamer centered all around being a mechanic. I went ahead and downloaded this rusty metal texture from freestocktextures.com, and I found a wrench picture on nobacks.com that we can also use. I've also went ahead and created our HTML file that we're going to use. I have a base HTML file that I copy and paste whenever I make a new one. It just contains the doc type tag, HTML tag, head tag, and the body tag. So I've created that. I've put all those files into one folder. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to this animation page, which is waitanimate.wstone.io, and it already has a wrenching animation that can be applied to anything. As long as it's an HTML element, as long as you identify the class properly, then you can put this animation on a picture, you can put it on text, you can apply it to whatever you want. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to use the default settings here. I'm going to copy this out of there. You can also just click copy to clipboard here and paste this inside of our style tags. So now we have a wrench class for CSS, and we have our wrench keyframes that it's referencing. So now we can apply that wrench class to whatever we want, and it will also apply that animation. So let's go ahead and put our image of our wrench inside the body and give it a shot. So I'm going to do an image tag, source equals wrench.png, because that's what I saved it as in the same folder. And I'm going to apply the class as wrench because that's what's defined up here. So I'm going to save that and let's open it up. And you can see that the wrench image is just a little bit too big, but the animation is working. So let's hop over here, and for the wrench class, I'm just going to add a width property, and let's bump it down to about 30% of the width, and then refresh our page here. And there we go. We have a wrench image, we have that wrenching animation applied to it, and everything's working fine. So now that we have this set, let's hop over to OBS Studio and start piecing together our intro screen. Alright, so we have all of our elements. Let's start building the scene in OBS Studio. The first thing that we want to do is create an image source for the background, and we'll insert the background file that we downloaded from that textures website, and we'll scale it down. Let's do transform and then just do fit to screen. It's a little bit too narrow, so let's do transform stretch to screen. So it's stretched out a little bit, but it'll still get our point across for this purpose. Next thing that we'll want to do is we'll create a text source, and then we'll create our stream title with this text source. So we'll just do Mr. Mechanic. We'll select the largest font there is, and what sort of font do we want to use for this? Just go through and find a good font. We'll use Brandish. So we have that set, and we can make it nice and big so we can see what it looks like. I'm going to throw on an outline. It's always best to have an outline on your text just to make it a little bit more clear. I'm going to center that by right-clicking, transform, center to screen. Actually, I want it up above, so I'm going to do transform and... Yeah, I thought you could center to the center horizontally, but I guess not. So we'll just put it up there. That'll be fine. So we have our title there. The next thing that we'll want to do is we'll add our wrench. So we're going to do a browser source. We're going to click local file, and then we'll pick our file that we just created with that wrench image in there. So we can see that the size of the browser source that we just created is a little bit bigger than the content area. So if you take the edge of this box here, hold down your Alt key, and then click and drag, you can kind of trim it down to only contain what you want it to show. So that's a little bit too much on the bottom. So, oops. That'll work for now. You might want to add some padding in the HTML file, because as the wrench goes up, it's kind of going off screen. So we'll fix that in just a second. So we're just going to throw that over there, and we'll add another text scene, or a text source, sorry. And we'll say, working on getting started. And this will be our like stream is starting soon sort of text. So I got my outline. Let's select a good font for it. You don't have to use the same font as the main title. Sometimes people like just changing it up just a little. We'll pick something like that. We'll make it a little bit bigger. And I don't know, you might want it like on the side here, or maybe on the O, or I mean not the O, the period. I mean that might look cool. I don't know what you prefer, so we'll just do that. And let's fix the padding over here on our HTML file. So we're just gonna, on the wrench, add padding, and we'll just do a global padding of 20 pixels. And then over in OBS, you'll have to hit properties and refresh the cache. And then of course we're gonna have to widen this up a little bit. So there we go. All right, so this is a very basic way of getting yourself an animated intro screen without having to go through video editors or paying somebody else to do it. You can do all sorts of things with this. This is a very, very basic concept that we just threw together in a few minutes. There's a lot of animations on that CSS keyframes page, and we can go through a couple of those just so you have an idea of what you can do. So this site gives you a bunch of different kinds of animations that you can use just by copy and pasting like this. We already used the wrenching animation. We have a shaking animation, a ringing bell kind of animation. We have vertical and horizontal wiggling. We have spinning, bouncing, passing by, starburst. You can set the wait time. So if you select spin with 1 second, it spins all the way around, waits 1 second, and then does the animation again. You can do it to 0 second wait time, so that it's just a constant spinning. So you can put in a wheel, you can put in a saw blade like I had at the beginning, you can put in a flower, whatever you want. You can use this bounce animation with a picture of a basketball if you're into sports, something like that. And keep in mind, this is only the stuff that you can use through this site by copy and pasting. Now, if you get into CSS and craft your own keyframe animations, you can do some really complex stuff. So this is just an intro of what you can do using just copy and paste methods without having to learn too much. So there you have it, guys. Just a quick look at what you can do using CSS, HTML, and OBS Studio to create your very own animated screens for Twitch or YouTube or whatever you want to use them with. Keep in mind that you can use these techniques and pair them with a little bit higher quality images and better font choices just to make it stand out a little bit better. I will put all the links that I used today down below in the video description so you can check those out directly. And thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment if you have any questions or complaints, suggestions, anything like that. And I'm going to leave you with the outro screen that I made for myself using the techniques in this video. You guys have a great one.